in 5,
4, 3.
I'm going to tell you a little something, Gary, as I mentioned right before this show.
I'm sick.
I'm sick.
I'm sick.
I swear to God, I'm sick.
I am sick.
I'm actually sick. So that's almost good news because I wasn't sick from anything really that happened on the football field this past week. Now, since I'm dealing with actual sickness, was there any virtual sickness that got you? Was there, we haven't done it in a little bit. Was there anything this past Sunday that took you by surprise? Or you're like, oh, God damn it, I forgot about that?
Honestly, it was one of the least sick I've been all season as far as the way the slate played out. I said this, I did the GPP review show for ETR this week, and I said this on there too. Like, if you look at the winning Millie Baker lineup, and I'll get it up in a second here, it was pretty chalky. It was one of the chalkier ones we've seen in a while as far as cumulative ownership, double-digit ownership, et cetera. But only 3 players that were in the winning lineup were also in the perfect lineup. Justin Fields, I think the Vikings defense, and I'm blanking on the other one. Christian Watson, I'm sure. So every other spot in that winning lineup had a contrarian partner basically in the perfect lineup. For example, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and Christian Kirk were both 17 and 30% owned respectively. But in the perfect lineup, it was Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb, right, were 3 and 3%. Jonathan Taylor and Aaron Jones were the perfect running backs. Obviously, Tony Pollard and all those other guys that were Saquon and Josh Jacobs that were over 20%. So it was really one of the true GPP weeks that I could remember. The chalkiest part of any optimal lineup was Justin Fields. And I always talk about this, as you know, I don't care about ownership at quarterback. And this was the perfect week to prove that out, right? Fields was the best quarterback, both in price, matchup, and ceiling. And it bared out that way. So
I had a lot of Jonathan Taylor. I can't believe that wasn't a sniff. I thought that was a sniff, yet he was like 10%. What gave people the audacity to play a guy coming off yet another ankle injury after a year that they've done nothing with Ellinger, who is supposed to be the I'm shocked sometimes when they reveal the percentages.
I honestly think like it would have been 6% if Ellinger started. I think that there's a sharp 5% in that hour and a half that before when that Matt Ryan announcement got made at 11:30 that realized he should be higher up in their builds, because it obviously changed the entire outlook of not only Jonathan Taylor's ceiling case, but the game, right? I was on the Raiders in pick'em pools that I couldn't change by the time it was there, and I wouldn't have been on them. They were my favorite bet of the week at -3 or 4 when I thought it was Ellinger with the Jeff Saturday thing, and then it would have completely changed my opinion if I had thought that Matt Ryan was starting. Not that Matt Ryan's some great quarterback, but at least from a competence level. So, I think that's probably what it was. But still, Taylor at 10%. This is what I also said. Jeff Wilson at also 10% was higher than I thought, right? Thought maybe that was a little bit of a sniff. But 10% with the way running backs have been the last 5-6 weeks is contrarian. Like, these running backs,
I get it, but they're
20, 30, 40%.
I understand. Jeff Wilson, you could say, oh my God, he had more snaps than Mostert. There's legitimate reason to say he can be played. Jonathan Taylor, between injuries, the brutal team, and then there was no reason to spend that much. You had to pay a lot still for him. And he's in the same game that Josh Chalk Jacobs was in. Yep. I was shocked. It should have said 2%. Justin Jefferson was 2%. And freaking whatever.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, all running backs like these days, unless it's like a crappy, like I was on Jaylen Warren last week, right? That was 1%. Everyone else that was like 5,500 and above was between 8 and 30%. Like there wasn't anyone, because your pool's thinning out. Like there aren't these plays that are like fringe. No one's going to Kareem Hunt these days. You know what I mean? Like Nick Chubb, I guess, was probably a couple percent of Jones, but anyone that had a ceiling case was getting to 10% this week.
I'm so glad I played 0% of Kamara, as I stated last week. That was an easy stay away for me at Pittsburgh. Dalton, with potential Watt coming back and actually firing up the defense. Anyway, let's maybe now look forward to week 11 here. And as far as buys go, is this on par with last week? Because between injuries and buys, because we've had some big injuries like Cooper Kupp and guys of that nature, this is actually a pretty condensed slate, is it not?
Yeah, it is because of injuries. It's going to feel like the last couple of weeks, but we do have one more game on this slate. It's back to an 11 game instead of a 10 game slate. Bye-wise, I have this all written down from my show that I do. Dolphins, Seahawks, Bucks, and Jaguars. So no Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins passing game. That's pretty consequential.
Well, I mean, Gary, I'd rather try to remember everything off the top of your head like you're, Ken Jennings or something right here. Why don't you, as I refuse to call him wise, but as a man once said, pull it up. Why don't you pull it up?
I was texting another one of our old colleagues was texting me last night during the Knick game. Hadn't spoken to him in a while. One Stephen T. Thunder. And he was on one, man, about the New York Knicks. I got to tell you, that guy just nothing is happy for him. The Knicks won by 3 in a game that they had to come back by 8.
I told him recently I didn't know if he was a Yankees fan or Mets fan because each tweet is about dismantling the organizations. Once in a while,
Nets for a while too. Same thing in basketball.
At least he seems to know he has a relatively condensed tree of hockey knowledge, so he'll wait to the end to give his Rangers takes, like the hot ones, but he'll still say in there like absolute disgrace. Everything's a full disgrace.
No, it is. It really is. It was he. You know what he is? He's like he's like the ghost of New York sports past. Like everything is the curmudgeon of all New York sport. Anything because Yankees, Mets,
so
Knicks,
funny,
Mets,
man.
Mets, like he's happy to put the lay down on the negative side of anything New York sports. So
it's so funny, man.
He really is.
So here we are. We went to a familiar place, like when you're driving on the highway and you see one of those rest stops with like a Roy Rogers and a McDonald's and a gas station. We got EDS to fix all your mail needs in terms of overs and unders. And looking at this game right here, Chiefs are not on the slate, and they're the top one.
On the slate, but this is what's kind of interesting this week. Okay?
God!
Only one game, and the totals come down. So at the beginning of the week, this was 50 Falcons and Bears. Now it's 49. That's the highest of the week. But the highest couple team totals are Baltimore with 27, but in a 13-point spread and a 41 over-under. So I always find those weeks fascinating as far as, do you want to pay up for the quarterback that is in the highest applied team total with the big spread on the low over-under game? I always make the argument that, yes, it's worth it because I'm not worried about over-under in that case. I'm worried about the smackdown that the team that can put on them, and that usually results in a 30-plus point game. Obviously, Lamar coming off the bye. Hopefully, it's Mark Andrews back, who practiced in limited fashion yesterday. I think he's a pretty good play. I found quarterback to be really fascinating.
Yo, Gary, I got an idea.
Yeah.
Can you hit Command Plus?
Oh, on here? Or on here?
Yeah. I think it might be aesthetically more pleasing. Yeah.
No
See
problem.
that?
Yeah, of course. No worries.
Um,
as far as quarterback's concerned, like I think Lamar, I got to say I'm scared of the snow in Cleveland Buffalo. They're going to get like 3 feet or something. What do they say? They're getting something crazy now.
They're getting something where you've always told me that it's specific kind of weather truly does mean something with DFS, right? Wind, very windy games, I believe you said.
Matters most, but when it's wind, but then when there's outlier rain and snow, that matters, right? Like monsoons matter. Regular little rain doesn't matter. Crazy.
I would hope that monsoons matter, because if they didn't matter, that'd be pretty strange.
Well, you know what I mean, though. Like just a general New York rain that we get on a random Tuesday night. Like those players play through that, right? Crazy thunderstorms and very heavy rain does impact the way both players can catch the ball and run routes, and also the way coaches will game plan and play call. Same thing with snow. I mean, this is saying 1 to 3 inches on NFL.com. I heard some crazy stuff as far as how much snow they might get. Let me see. I know my friend's texting me something.
So it's are you sure that doesn't say in between 1 to 3 feet? Are you sure it's saying inches?
That says inches there.
What is better than the guy who said, listen, you got to corner the part of the market that's specific. You don't say, oh, we're covering the NFL. Then you're going to be lumped in with the millions of people. You know who knew that? EDS. You know who else knew that? NFLweather.com, another site that could have been created in 1997. It looks like we're on America Online and we hit keyword NFL weather. You're just looking at games. Honestly, it could be even simpler. It's just showing the helmets. I have, but guys, there's a business in everything, but you just got to be specifics. ChocolateChipPancakes.com. I know what you have there. I know what you specialize in, and every single person who's looking for chocolate chip pancakes, they will 100% trust. See, regular IHOP, regular things like that. I don't know. What about the ChocolateChipPancakes.com? You'll dominate the market. Just look at NFLweather.com and EDS. What were we talking about? Cleveland? Yeah. We're shut. Wait. Did you type it in right?
I think so. Chocolate.
Guys, it's available. If you're struggling, DFS hasn't worked out for you, we could start veering right towards the pancakes game, because after ChocolateChipPancakes.com, we got blueberry pancakes, banana and walnut pancakes.com. We'll take over the pancakes game.
This could be really good, actually. Like you just put up different chocolate chip pancake recipes every single day. You put the nice pictures that everyone is obsessed with on Instagram. This is out there for the people. I'm telling you.
The trust will be, it's built into the website, because as soon as you say, all right, well, there's not a chance in hell ChocolateChipPancakes.com does not know what the hell they're talking about. It's only chocolate chip pancakes.
Yeah.
That's how this NFLweather.com took off. I know it.
NFLweather.com.
Look at the little trademark next to NFL Weather at the top. He trademarked the one word NFL Weather.
I guarantee you, this site gets so many freaking hits, dude. Everyone I know uses this site. Like in the industry, everyone uses this site.
Hey, buddy. I know you're running this. I got news for you. None of us are stealing that logo. Yeah. Okay. I created that logo for my first project in the late 90s. So look at these games.
Look at this. Look at this. Oh shit!
What, the football and .com?
It's football. No, there. It's a football. It's NFLW and like some weird shield. And then there's a sun, a rain cloud, and a snow.
It's Captain Planet.
It's just like Photoshop. It's like not even Photoshop. It's like, what is that? Clip art. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
That is very funny, man. Royalty-free clip art that he's just lumped together on NFLweather.com, and we're going all caps. And we're going Verdana bold, stretched. He's this guy. He took 6 minutes to make this site, but as always, we ain't complaining. More power to you. I like when a regular guy beats the system.
I don't know if should we talk about football this week, or should we just keep exploring the weird depths of the internet?
No, let's. Well, you don't want to go there. Not with me.
No, I guess not. Anyway,
it's in Spanish. Top right.
Anyway, Domo.
What
was I gonna say?
You were talking about
snow. One of the PFF's weather guys said they could
get off this. By the way, we get it. There's going to be. I want to see some prices again.
PFF's weather guy said yesterday afternoon Buffalo could receive as much as 3 to 6 feet of snow on Sunday. So we'll see what happens. Just keep an eye out, because.
All right, let's say there's 1 foot of snow. How are you feeling about the game?
1 foot's crazy. Yeah, I'm not doing anything over like 8 inches. With it really coming down, I'm off Josh Allen.
I always look at it this way: if I pulled up 2 TVs. Huge TVs, and I show you moment 7 of a game where I get, all right, guys, which lineups do you guys want me to just throw in right now? The world is frozen. No, you'll never pick that game. It looks like a nightmare. Meanwhile, they're laughing in the Superdome. They're having, Hershey's bars on the sideline. Everyone's loving life. It's the opposite of an indoor game. The way you're supposed to feel about an indoor game and the potential of a track meet, that immediately you get the opposite feeling of a snow game where there's more running, the clock seems to evaporate, there's less scoring. And then those random games that go wild, like the Patriots-Titans back in the snow. But I'm kind of with Gary on this one. I'd rather just not. Like, oh, well, if I lose because the snow game goes off, I'll deal with that.
I think you could go to Chubb still, right? I mean, he's expensive, but he's going to get 35 carries in that instance, right? And I think you can go to Singletary also, who is going to be a nice pivot this week, because we'll talk about it when we go to running back here. But running back I find very fascinating this week. There's like a couple of spend-up options, and then there's like all of these guys under like 6,200 basically from Cordarrelle Patterson down that you can make a big case for. So Singletary at 5,800 in a good matchup, because Buffalo's been bad against the run this year. I mean, Cleveland's been bad against the run this year. Is pretty good there at 5,800, and in the snow game he'll get a ton of carries, right? So I could. You want
to shift back to QB for a secek? There was one guy I wanted to ask you about.
I think this whole top tier is interesting. So go ahead.
Number 3 in there. I've told you something about dual threat quarterbacks, and I kind of elevated Josh Allen out of that because he really can throw for like 400-yard games. He's less of a dual threat, although he still continues to run.
Normal homes like that. Like Allen runs, right?
I get it. I get it. But those other three quarterbacks, every single play, you're almost scared is a designed read option. Mm-hmm. Every single Jalen Hurts run, he holds it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Exactly. To me, there's a difference. And what I've always theorized about those, I told you this earlier in the year, when they hit their stride, everything seems to be going. And when they get into funks, things really start to fall apart in terms of fantasy production. Sometimes they're able to, do enough to get their wins. And did we see maybe a little shift where Hurts is going to go through a tough stretch?
Yeah, certainly possible. And now I don't necessarily love this spot. I mean, we'll see if my God, the Shaquille Darius thing. I don't remember what he goes by, Shaquille Leonard or Darius Leonard. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
But we'll see if he plays in Indy. But on the road in Indy, I think of these now take Allen out of the mix. So of these top three.
Can you hit Lamar, by the way? Can you hit Lamar? Well, how has his scoring been the last 5 weeks?
Bad.
Oh, okay.
Bad.
So, but honestly, this is exactly what I'm saying. So someone like me, I'm not going to Lamar until he's in another groove. Get into the groove, boy. You got to prove your stats to me. I came up with something by the end. Whew.
The problem with that is, and I understand, especially if you're doing like your 3 max and you don't trust doing him in a power sweep or something like that. But the problem with him is we have a large enough sample between his career and even this season at the beginning of the year. We know these 40-point games are in the range of outcomes. Coming off a bye at home with a 13-point favorite with the highest implied team total, like there's a real good chance it's a 30-plus point game for Lamar, right? Really good chance. Like just because he's struggled the last couple of weeks. I mean, you look at the matchups, should have been better against Cleveland. That's for sure. But Tampa Bay.
Don't tell me he shouldn't have been better against the Giants.
Giants were dominated that game. They had a great game.
I understand though. Like, but if you, in comparison to, people can have. The Giants are not a team where a guy who's supposed to be one of the top quarterbacks can't have a good game.
Oh, he should have been better in all 5 of these games. But regardless, like I like this game back at home. This is the best spot that he's had of all these 5, right? So since whatever week 3. Definitely since week 3 when he dominated New England, which also wasn't the best spot. I don't know. Anyway, Ravens are up against it. Like everyone thinks they're one of the best teams in football still. They need to come out of the bye strong. Like this, I think they put the hammer down. I wouldn't even mind taking them minus the 13 this week, honestly, with PJ Walker coming off the bye at home, especially if Andrews plays. And I think if you feel like they're going to hit 30 points as a team, Lamar Jackson's going to hit 30 points as a fantasy quarterback. So I'm into Lamar. I understand your point. Like I am a guy that wants to see these people turn the corner again.
Sometimes, dude, I like broad philosophies. Like you said, I will bet against any team in the future of the NFL who is giving more than 9.5 points. Because if you bet every double-digit underdog since the beginning of time, you're like a 56% winner.
Yeah.
And if you look last week, you had the Commanders who outright won. Week before, Eagles couldn't cover that 14-point spread. Bills couldn't cover that double-digit spread against the Packers. I would never do that, but that's a completely separate, same type of thing. So take that blanket statement, and that's kind of how I feel about the dual threat quarterbacks. When they're in that groove, I love them, and when they're not, I'm just scared. I normally am a week early. I've said ever since I saw you win that millionaire, I will be a week early, which is why I played Jonathan Taylor last week. Mm-hmm. Quarterbacks to me, I'm more of a groove guy. I like taking players who are feeling it because also with Lamar, no Bateman I don't know if Andrew's going to be back, but he had all the weapons and the defenses were in preseason form when he had his big weeks.
That argument to me is the best argument against Lamar is that the weapons are really, really weak, right? Like it's especially if Andrews doesn't play. I mean, he could get it done on his legs, but he needs someone that's competent at football to be able to catch the ball. So
and then you're playing a bad team, so it's like, all right, well, whatever. We'll
the ability to push, that's all fair. That's all fair. So we'll talk about Kenyon Drake on the other side of that in a couple minutes. I think. So let's talk about someone that has been in a groove, right? Who is now priced up to this tier as he should be. I mean, the best quarterback in football, Justin Fields. I mean, it's unbelievable. And it's another nut spot. We're 2 weeks in a row, 3 weeks in a row, really, because Miami, I've been saying all year, we passed on Miami. Detroit's the best of the worst defense in football. Atlanta's bottom 3, and this is in a dome, like highest game total of the week. What are we doing here? Like, do we just go right back to the well? I think we do.
I have a question. say if people are going to be all over Fields and Khalil Herbert's not playing, does that leave us an ownership sniff on David Montgomery?
That was my hope last week, right? Because I knew Fields was going to be 30% owned, basically. I was hoping to get Montgomery through this cracks there and just throw him in some large field stuff. I think, let's take a look. I have to get ownership up, but I think that he will come in slightly under owned for what he should be, but the field will be on him a little bit. I'm going to get ownership up right now. But yeah, Montgomery, I think, is also a great play. But both these guys, I mean, Fields is a great play. Let's be real. Again, I'm not worried about quarterback ownership at all. I think that the floor he's established with his legs. I mean, he got 10 designed runs last week. 10.
Yes.
That's like the dream for a fantasy player. So this is Atlanta, man. Atlanta gets themselves in shootouts, even with slow pace. It's weird. They run like 40 plays a game and they still get themselves in shootouts. It's
dude,
wild.
Same kind of thing with that Eagles game. Brian Robinson ran for 3 yards 164 times. One would assume the clock is done, yet it still hit the over easily.
Yep.
That's
basically every Falcons game.
I know. They're tough to watch.
But I think this game's 49 points for a reason. Like here's basically what I have to say this week. If we get the word that the snow's like going to be fine, I'm fine with Allen. I like Jackson. I like Hurts. I like Fields. And then I think Burrow coming off the bye against the Steelers, who have been terrible against the pass, is also very much in play. So I think the top 5 guys are clearly the tier this week.
I will say this. I don't know if you believe in like seeing ghosts, but he threw 4 interceptions against them week 1. And I get it. It's week 1. He had the surgery, blah, blah, blah. But probably does mean something.
Yeah. No, it does. If anything, though, I think he's the kind of guy, like, we know this guy's got, he's got big cojones, right? So, like, I think he comes back.
Whoa. How about old Kirk Cousins down there?
Well, okay. So let's talk about this game, right? This is the next game.
That's an indoor game.
So it's the next game you want to attack. It's got the next highest total at 47.5. My problem with Cousins is I think I'd rather just go to the Dak side of this. That's really
what I mean. Like that to me.
I don't think he has the ceiling. He hasn't shown.
Gary, I have a dumb question. Some things like this just slip by me. The new stadium they built for them, is it like a retractable roof or it's indoor?
What is it called? The new Viking Stadium? I have no idea. To answer your question.
I think it's called Viking Stadium. It's indoor.
US Bank Stadium. It's an enclosed stadium. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, yeah. You're not building the outdoor shit in Minnesota. Nobody's going.
No. But anyway, I'd rather go to the Dak side because
still a hockey town, if you ask me.
A couple reasons. Yeah. Well, there you go. A couple reasons. One, the Cowboys still have the best pass rush in football, right? So that could disrupt Cousins a bit. 2, they've been okay against outside receivers and stuff. So like, I'm not off Jefferson at all because I want to be on this game, but I want him in correlation. And 3, I just think you could throw on, like we saw the Bills still be able to throw on the Vikings last week. It just ended up being, a little bit of a back and forth. So I think Dak is just somebody that we know, at least, his 26 points somehow is higher than, in only 4 games, is higher than any game Cousins has had this year. So it's like, I just would rather be on the Dak side. So to me, we got the top 6 quarterbacks then, if you want to throw that in.
I will say this. I really do like what Hawkinson has introduced to that offense.
19
this kid gets targets, man.
In the first two weeks. They've used it more than Detroit ever did in 4 years. So
you used to be scared about those doubles, like, oh, God, I got to pay up for Thielen's old ass, and he's going to get 4 catches. He might screw me. I don't think Hawkinson's going to be screwing many people out there because Cousins loves to go to the tight end, and this is the best one he's had in Minnesota. It's just give me something to think about.
To answer your question from before, it does look like Montgomery will be pretty popular. I'm looking like between where you look between like 15 and 20%.
Of course. I texted Dave, Dave the other day, and this is the year of the white chalkers. Like they broke down the wall and they're coming for King's Landing. Everything is chalk. If you have an idea, they come to take it down, man. That's really them. It's everything's hard home with the white chalkers.
All right, let's talk quickly. There's some spend down options too, though, right? So most of my people will be in these top 6 guys, probably not Allen, so top 5 guys. But can't ignore my guy, man. And he'll be popular. But it's at home against the Lions. He's under 6K. Like, we know he's had a 30-point game this season. Like, he's your spend-up quarterback. He's going to be in play for cash, Daniel Jones.
Spend-down quarterback, right?
Yeah, sorry. He's your spend-down quarterback of the week for sure. Curious what kind of ownership he's going to get because, like, only like 8 to 10% right now. I'm only going to be going to him to spend down. You also have Russell Wilson against the putrid Raiders at home, but he's shown zero ceiling. I'd rather just take the $100 less and take Daniel Jones against the worst defense in football. And then if you really want to get contrarian, you could go to Mariota on the other side of Fields. But I did that with Goff last week, and I immediately regretted it. And Mariota's a floor play, not a ceiling play. At least Goff has shown some ceiling games, and Mariota has not. So there you go.
I know he got a full practice. Let's see, just because he's so cheap. New Orleans D is too good, and there's no Cup.
Stafford? Yeah, no Cup.
That means everyone's going to be playing. Everyone and their mother's going to be playing Higbee with no Cup.
Yeah, especially if Stafford's back, right? Because
you know what's weird? Higbee had the massive week without Stafford last week.
Did he have a big week? I didn't even notice.
I hope I didn't just make that up. Something's telling me Tyler Higbee had a huge week.
You very well may be correct. 15 points, yeah, pretty good. But it was actually a decent tight end week because Komet went off, and then Schultz also in that late slate had
that. My secondary stack that cost no dollars of Watson, because my reasoning was, all right, there's no Dobbs, and they're probably going to run a couple plays. He's got the speed. Maybe I was hoping he took one to the house. He obviously did more than that. And Schultz, look at his numbers since he's been back with Dak. And that was playing through injury. So that was a 3700s, I believe. And it allowed me I just wish I hit better on the other stuff, but that saved my week. I was sending you a couple last night. So I guess while we're here in tight end, a little sniff that I see right on the bottom there is with Jerry Jeudy out. You're looking at Dulcich, and I know that was a rough game for them. They had a lead last week, and they tried to just milk it, but this one could be different.
I think he's a great play because he screwed this is your theory. This is an Andy theory. He screwed everybody last week. He was 30% owned in the millie. This guy, that's absurd, Chalk. And he still played 94% of snaps. He screwed everybody with this 1 for 11. And now he's only looking at like 10% ownership. I think you go right back to this with when everyone's going to be off. This is the classic Andy play that everyone's going away from the guy when he screwed everybody the week before. So I'm with you.
And there's something that I love about him and something that I hate about him. What I love about him, he's got the Yugoslavian heritage. I could see it in the last name. What I hate about him, he threw the unnecessary H at the end so that Americans know how to pronounce it. Not a fan of that, but I'm going to be a fan of him this week.
Well, he also he looks like a crappy porn star as well. I mean, what the hell is he doing there with the mustache and the hair?
That's straight up younger Ron Jeremy who played in the NFL. 1,000%.
All right, so let's talk running back quickly, and we'll come back to that end. I just want to. All I think is this: the spend up options all have question marks, right? Besides, Saquon's a great play, but he's expensive. Chubb against Buffalo. Buffalo's a great run D, but now with the snow, I guess you could get into that. Dalvin was also very sneaky play last week. I had him in bringbacks in the lineups that I couldn't afford Jefferson and Bill's stuff. And
would you argue that that's just? You're looking at a stat line built off one huge touchdown run, and he has, 3 catches, 5 targets is good, but you're in a back and forth game with the Bills. It's scary every week with him now because unless
I would correlate it. I wouldn't have him as a one-off play at all. I would either have him in Cousins or, I'm not playing Cousins. I would have him with a Cowboy basically in every single lineup. So I would correlate it.
Okay.
But I think it's, I agree with you.
I like Taylor again.
Yeah, I also do because the Eagles' run D is fraudulent. I know everyone thinks the Eagles are the best run defense or the best defense in football. Their run D has not been good over the last 4 or 5 weeks. I think they're missing one of their big nose tackles, so that has something to do with it. But
I think they played fine the other night because
they did.
But
they game planned against it. They just knew that they were going to run the ball a bunch of times. And generally, though, they haven't been so great against the run. So this is the way you attack them with Ryan back under center. Clearly, they want Taylor to be the focal point of their game plan. Curious what kind of ownership you get. I think he won't be too owned because the matchup's tough on paper, and he's expensive. 14% right now. That's not too bad.
We'll bring that down. We'll bring that down. Just kind of like negotiating for a car. We're not going to keep that at 14%.
I want to talk about the tier that down here though. So
okay,
starting with Cordarrelle Patterson. Okay, so Tony Pollard obviously will be chalk again if Zeke's out. I think it's fine. Cordarrelle Patterson, now these two guys in this game that we're talking about, the highest total indoors. Patterson, another guy that screwed everyone that played Showdown last week on that crappy Thursday night game. And he's now another week away from being back from the injury. I think he's a really good play at only 6,200 against a very bad run defense. So
do you know what is crazy about him? If you can click that again, what is up with the targets?
Yeah.
He should be getting 7 catches a game and taking a screen to the house.
That's the problem right now, and that's his downside is that like they're using that Tyler Algier rookie kid in that role right now, and you don't
That's
love that.
crazy. He was a wide receiver.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So, but anyway, I think he's a good play this week, and then Montgomery also a good play still, even at ownership, and then Drake. I mean, I know Gus Edwards might be coming back, but especially if you're off Lamar in a really great matchup, the guy has an elite work share right now. 24th carry is like he that's his backfield. So even if Gus Edwards is back, I think at 5,900, he's fine. And it saves you a lot of money. I don't know what kind of ownership he's going to get. I would imagine it's going to be some. We'll see what Gus Edwards projects for if he comes back, but I think Drake's a good play. And then you got Foreman on the other side of that game. We already spoke about Singletary. And then I think the Washington backs, I mean, I'm more interested in Gibson than Robinson just because he's a better player, but we've been attacking Houston's defense all year on the ground, and now no one's going to play these guys. I think Brian Robinson stinks. Great story, bad player. But against the Texans, if there's ever a game for him to get the 4 yards to carry, it's going to be this one. So if they give him another 20 carries,
look at those averages.
It's terrible. It's terrible. But if they give him another 20 carries and he finds the end zone twice at 5,300, it's the first time ever.
Yo, look at his picture. It looks like he hears us talking about him.
He's like, I'm about to come fuck you up.
He's pissed off. Well, he has plenty reason to be. However,
absolutely. Anyway, it's an interesting spot. It's a different slate than other weeks because like the spend down running back spot's interesting. There's not like this. Justin Fields is now appropriately priced, so like the constructions are going to look different than they have in previous weeks. Hey,
I would have appreciated, by the way, if Najee Harris had one more yard, then he would have got to 100. Did get 20-something carries. That one would have looked better if he popped one in the end zone.
Yep. Another comment after the game from Tomlin about using Jaylen Warren more next week. So we'll see, but he's definitely their pass game back and their third down back and clearly the better back. So we'll see. It's a tough thing. Najee hasn't made my pool once this entire year. But it wasn't a bad call with you. Did get 20 carries. So
one more yard and then he hits the bonus. And I mean, it's not like they didn't use him on the goal line, just unfortunate not to get a touchdown. Like that really actually could have been a great call. One more yard and a touchdown. And it was, 20 carries. It was in the cards. Unfortunately, didn't happen. All
right. Receiver quickly. So, anyone stand out to you on this top tier? Because I think it's a pretty interesting week with
I can already see that a lot of my lineups, almost everything is going to have a major chunk in that Cowboys Vikings game.
It's going to be the chalkiest of the week, just so you know. I mean, I don't think it's the wrong thing.
Right. Hey, look, hey, I've entered dust storms and come out the side door with some money, and I will find some Michael Gallups in this game. I will find some TJ Hawkinson. If people are going Schultz after that week, if people are going Schultz, Lamb, and Jefferson, I'll go freaking Gallup, Hawkinson, and Cousin. I will scoot some, everybody's robbing the bank over here. I'm going to go to the back and get the diamonds. Okay. Yeah. You go get the cash. I'll go get the diamonds. That's the new one, how I'm looking for this, but I need pieces in this because I love this it's the opposite of that snow game. And it's one of 2 4:00 games. You guys know my conspiracy theory about that. It's why I made sure I had some Watsons and some Schultzes and some Pollards in last week. They have 2 of these 4:00 games. I don't care if it's flags or whatever reviews from the league. These things tend to, in my opinion, when everyone's watching, turn into wacky games, and I always want to have somebody involved in them. And that Dallas-Minnesota one is smiling at me.
I'm with you. I don't think even at ownership, I don't think Jefferson and Lamb are bad plays. But Lamb at 3% last week was such a smash. I loved that. I was well over that. But they're going to be chalk. So I'm with you. So Schultz and Hawkinson, I think, are going to be way less owned compared to their position than Jefferson and Lamb. So just look for ways to get different. Pair these guys with their running backs, pair Pollard with Dak if you want to try to do, just get a little different within the game. But I'm not saying don't attack it. You could definitely attack it. Anyway, so Jefferson's going to be the best receiver play on the week from a projection standpoint.
Is AJ Brown injured?
Yeah, so I think he's going to play. So
okay, there's no Goddard. So at least if you like Eagles in that game, the route tree, or not the route tree, the target tree, correct?
Yeah,
is condensed.
You've been saying what's your theory that you've been saying since the day before you were born about Lamb and Devonta? Is this Brown and Devonta? Is this a Brown or Devonta game? Which one?
You should have learned by now. Where are they playing?
I don't. Listen,
we're gonna get to this answer. Where are they playing?
In Indy.
Is that a speed game or a physicality game?
Speed game.
Indoor. That's a Devontae Smith guaranteed.
Okay.
This should, Gary, you should have it. You shouldn't even have to ask. If it's out in Pittsburgh.
Well, so here's the thing. That Sunday, whether they play Sunday or Monday night, that was Devonta Smith's birthday. And I was all over Devonta Smith, and he did have a better game. But A.J. Brown got hurt. So I don't know if it just goes back and forth. I don't know what the little nuances are of the rule.
I don't know why do you have to think about it? I'm telling you which ones. In speed games, it's Smith. In physicality games, if they're playing the freaking Ravens, you're going A.J. Brown. They're playing the Niners in San Fran, you go A.J. Brown. You're playing Arizona, you're going Devontae Smith.
Let's think about that. I don't know if it's, indoors, we think it's a speed game, but the Colts, we got a 44-point total here. The Colts still have some pretty good defenders. Like, if they're playing for Jeff Saturday like they showed they were last week, they could be a little physical. They could be a little physical.
I really mean it in that, like, if he breaks off the line of scrimmage indoors, a speedy guy, like the conditions are most set up for him to succeed in that environment. The defense can be playing well, but to me, it's different than being outdoors at Cincinnati. I don't necessarily consider Cincinnati a physical team, but a game during the winter at Cincinnati is full A.J. Brown. Do you get where I'm going with this?
I get it. The gritty, the possession receiver type stuff.
Yeah, laugh it up. But when we're at the end of the year and I've made 0 wrong predictions between the two, eventually, what's that saying about the chickens coming home to roost or something? I don't know. There's something like that.
Speaking of Cincinnati, I love T. Higgins.
How much is Devontae Smith? Because I'm definitely playing his ass this week.
He is 6,200. Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's bad. You're going to need that mid-tier receiver, which we'll talk about in a second. But I think T. Higgins is a smash, man. He's going to come in like 12 to 15%. I don't think it's enough. Like, coming off the bye, number one receivers have crushed the Pittsburgh Steelers all season long. And now we're coming off the bye. It's another week still without Jamar Chase. Like, I think it's in the game plan to get the ball in T. Higgins' hand because they haven't been doing it enough since Jamar's been out. And it's kind of like that Godwin thing. Like, we're waiting on this ceiling game, but the floor's there. I think this is a ceiling game week for T. I really love T. You know what? There you go. T. Higgins, my men's warehouse pick.
Am I going to like the way I look?
I guarantee it.
Devontae Smith is mine. How was that, ladies and gentlemen?
I guarantee it.
That's what you get.
So now, whoa. Look at that. With Matt Ryan back in, can you click Pittman's name? Can you go back to his Matt Ryan stats?
Yeah, 29 to 30. Yep.
Look at the targets.
I'm of two minds with this. One, it's a good play as far as production and quarterback and target share. But before Terry McLaurin last week, number one receivers have done nothing against the Eagles, right? Like, outside receivers have been getting just shut down by those two guys. So I'm kind of mixed on it. But all right. But I like him in correlation. I don't mind him to bring back.
You are correct, though. You are correct with that.
What about,
old big play Slay.
I think he'll be owned a lot, but it's a really good matchup, and there's no Judy. I don't know what you think about this guy here.
I'd rather go to Delcic.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to take a chance.
Yeah.
If you're wrong, I sprinkled a couple hundred on my tight end.
Yeah. And then I think like Mooney and I'm less interested in Claypool, but Mooney's going to not be very owned. He's 5,400, and the Falcons have been terrible all year against receivers here. So I wonder
the Rams or New Orleans, which position they struggle against the most. Because without Kupp, is there any value for one of those other receivers, those cheap ass Van Jeffersons who now are forced into playing time? Van Jefferson's been back like 4 weeks now. He should be regular Van.
So I actually think these guys are coming in a little less owned than I thought and I think all three of them make my pool, and Allen Robinson, Van Jefferson, and Ben Skoranek. So Robinson's only coming through with like 2% ownership early week. That'll come up a little bit. But I actually agree with you. I think that they're all going to be a little bit under owned, and wouldn't be surprised to see one of these guys get here while Higbee's going to be the most owned tight end on the week. So a way to flip that is I'm going to be off Higbee a little bit, and I'll be in on these three guys. So I like Skoranek. I think Skoranek's interesting because his snap share has been really, really high regardless. He's sub 4K. There's so little value on this.
What is that, Cole Beasley's brother?
I haven't wrote cheap wide receiver volume yet, but I'd imagine he's going to qualify because you need over 5 projected targets. So Van Jefferson will probably qualify too. And he had 3 for 27 last week and a touchdown. So Jefferson's pretty good play also.
All right. Why don't we do a little lineup building, Gary?
Let's do it. I'll follow your lead.
All right. Well, I know that I want Dallas and Minnesota involved with this. I don't want to go too chalky because you stated that they're going to be ultra chalk. However, from what I've seen from Justin Jefferson from last year, nobody will pay for him. So if you can provide just semi-assistance, because if I can, I do want to involve him. But if he's ultra chalk, I'll figure out a way to stay away.
He's only Lamb is coming through with more projected ownership as of right now.
So those two are all right. So everyone's going to have essentially that secondary stack. So
Probably.
give me Dak with Gallup and Schultz.
I like it.
With Cook.
Well, that's real contrarian. I think you can get Jefferson. I would just do Jefferson. Like, who cares if he's 16% owned? If you believe in the play, you know. But like,
absolutely, I believe in the play. See, because we've seen.
Because either way, you're paying up for Cook, right? You still have to go to 80K on Cook and
do me a favor. It always helps me throw in a defense so it gives me a good idea of where I'm actually at with the rest of the lineup. You know me, I just go with Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, not Texans at home.
Oh no. Wait, did I just see Pittsburgh at the bottom?
Yeah.
Go back to the. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, you never know. Fucking Joe Burrow had 5 interceptions, 6 turnovers against them. Maybe
Are you putting your Men's Warehouse in here?
Yeah, we got to. All right. So can you do us a favor in your bottom bunker thing? Can you find a very cheap? How about this? I want to have Jonathan Taylor in there against Smith. That's my secondary stack. So now, can you find a dirt cheap player in the flex?
Yeah, sure.
And I don't care if you're wrong, but you know you're somebody who you always can kind of. I don't know. Like you dig these McLeods out of the bunkers.
You want one? You want one?
Do you want Skoranek? What was he?
You know who Isaiah Hodgins is? Wan'Dale Robinson's not going to play. It looks like Wan'Dale Robinson missed practice today. Kenny Galladay's doghouse. This is the guy they just brought over from Buffalo. He's going to basically be in the Galladay role. He had 2 for 41 last week, but he's going to play basically 100% of snaps against the worst pass defense in the league in the Lions. So he's stone minimum.
That's a great job. And now, out of curiosity, because we could always make adjustments to this if we don't find anybody.
You can fit someone in this tier that I kind of like these Washington guys, like these 5K running backs this week. I think are interesting.
Hey, I'm not saying he's good. He did get 20 carries, but if you have that Steelers D, you can put Najee there, and it will be a kind of a stack there with the Steelers D.
You could do that, yeah. Or you put Brian Robinson in, as you mentioned, against Houston.
Exactly. So, but something of this variety, I really do like.
I like the lineup.
Or if
finding your stride, Andy, as you always say you do. You like these deep 10 and 11 game slates. You're finding your stride. You had great lineups last week. You sent them to me last night. You had excellent work. Yeah,
it was. I do have to admit, though, Watson and Schultz kind of saved me. My 1 o'clock calls were not the best. They were fine, but they weren't. I didn't do as much Fields and stuff. I thought, I got to say, I was dead wrong about that game. I thought it was it started that way in the first half. It went into the first half was like 10-7, 10-10 going into halftime. And there was an eruption in the second half. So
Fields is like, I get we've seen like Lamar and Hurts over the last couple of years, but he is like the most exciting running quarterback I've seen since Michael Vick, as far as like electrifying.
Yeah, but you know why you're saying that? Because he's freaking in the groove. It's literally giving my exact theory credence. 3 weeks ago on this show, you got to see your reaction when I said you don't want to. I said you don't want to throw in a little Fields. You're like, oh.
I have to capitulate. Like I thought he was going to be I thought he was going to be a backup quarterback next year. I thought Chicago was about to give up on him.
No, he probably will be.
Good on Matt Eberflus. No, he's not. He's go watch him. Benjamin Solak on The Ringer. He did a really good job breaking down what this new Bears offense looks like from an X's and O's standpoint. Like the guy is also throwing the ball well too, and they completely changed the way that they're and the offensive line has been a little bit better also. But like he's a good quarterback, and I thought he was a terrible quarterback. We have enough of a sample size to say.
You know what though, Gary? You know how it goes when you redesign an offense around this dual threat, and then you introduce new wrinkles that other teams aren't ready for. You get a good full season, and then
I don't think we're gonna get 40-point games 3 weeks in a row next year. But I think he's especially if you keep giving stuff around him. Like they still have the worst offensive line in football, and you keep giving him targets and you keep giving him weapons and offensive linemen. Like he's gonna be fine.
I got news for you, ladies and gents. Now Gary's on him. I'm where Gary was. No, he is a loser, destined to be a loser. I'm telling you, he's one of these dual threats in a great stretch, and you hop on that stretch while it's there.
Let's see, because very few, I really dive into the history of DFS and stuff with perfect lineups, and very few quarterbacks have had stretches like this. So it's like he's not only in a good stretch, he's in an elite stretch. So like we'll see what really wins out.
I'm sure Colin Kaepernick had fantastic stretches too. I'm sure Robert Griffin III in his rookie year when. I mean, but that's what this is.
RG3 is the floor case here, right? That's a good example. But, it's a completely different league.
Gary, you're saying it's an outlier. I feel like I can remember 17 like this. This is every quarterback who is a great dual threat where you have a new system and nobody knows what they're dealing with. And then in a year and a half, take it easy.
We're in a way different league than the early 2010s. This is not RG3 and Colin Kaepernick NFL anymore.
How is Cam Newton doing these days after his MVP year?
Similar thing, though. 2011 rookie. Like, we're in a completely different league where the read options and the design runs are completely different the way that modern NFL offenses are designed. So, like, I do think sustainability is possible here. I think they have a good coach. I think that their skill positions around him are as bad as they'll ever be. And he's still doing this. So I literally said this
Gary,
to my friend
if I paused you 2 years ago at this point, if I paused you 2 years ago at this point and said Kyler Murray is going to be garbage as he's breaking records, he's breaking fantasy records. And the Cliff Kings, you can't stop it. There's no time to hit him. He never gets hit.
I never thought Kyler Murray.
If you can see that, if you can see Kyler Murray, but you're saying that 2 weeks ago, Justin Fields was done to you forever. 2 years ago, the world was Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's the future. Everybody, you couldn't find somebody to say something bad.
Fields is just a specimen from his size, weight, speed stuff, though, that Kyler Murray is not. So, like, that's a big difference, right? Like, Kyler Murray's a short little guy that can't stay healthy. So,
by the way, I got news for you. Just same thing with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Hurts is the same thing. Hurts is a complete monster as far as body is concerned. These guys have Josh Allen bodies in 4.3 speeds. Like, come on.
Yeah. And the guys like this, since Lamar's rookie year, that 2-game stretch early this year was the first time he acted like that original Lamar. Like, Lamar has been a bunch of not Lamar and then that small chunk that everybody holds on to. And now he's good enough to keep starting for certain, but I'm talking about these massive, I don't know. For me, every single one of these guys we're talking about
example
falls,
I think I was just completely wrong on Justin Fields 3 weeks ago. I do. I think I was just completely wrong, and I think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback now. I'm not saying he's going to be elite or great, but I think he has starting. I think he's got a lasting starter for a couple of years here now down the road.
Yeah, go lump Trey Lance in with the rest of these people too.
Well, Trey Lance, we have 0 samples. I have no idea if he's shit or good. I have no clue. It's unfortunate.
One thing I can guarantee you is that this episode is just about over.
Well, yeah. Well, the only thing I'll say with that is Justin Fields at least was one of the best quarterbacks in college, for his 3 years, right? Trey Lance went to South Dakota State University, whatever.
Well, I'm just trying to give you a couple minutes to eat a sandwich before your next show. Gary over here, he's the Stephen. He's the Stephen A. Smith of DFS, where sometimes you better not listen to him because he's just on shows all the time. I've always said never trust Stephen A. Smith because he doesn't have 5 minutes to watch a game. He goes from one show to the next. So he just has to say
15 shows a week right now.
He needs to be fed an opinion. Like, all right, well, what the hell happened? Okay, AJ Brown. The dumbest trade you ever. He has watched 5 plays. Anyway, thank you guys for coming back. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for bearing with me. I look like Count Dracula, which is why I'm zoomed all the way out. And always remember, if you're sick, so are all of us. Take it easy. We'll be back with you next week. Share the show with whoever the hell you want. We'll see you people next week.